This is an extremely disturbing painting released in the e-files. In this video, we're gonna break down the details in the painting and figure out who this man is. So when we analyze this particular painting, we'll notice there is a stack of cash on the table that reads JPMorgan Chase. We have a middle-aged man in his underwear with his finger over his mouth. And without a doubt, the most insidious aspect of this entire painting is the mirror that is to his left that has a reflection of what appears to be Snow White. So doing very basic research, I went to the DOJ website and I simply typed in Snow White. Now, as you can see, about 60 results show up in the queue. So in one of these particular files, you'll see a very interesting communication between Jes Staley and Jeffrey Epstein. Jes Staley is, I guess his nickname, his real name is James Staley, and we'll get into that in a second. The initial message is actually from Jes to Jeffrey, and it reads, "That was fun, say hi to Snow White." Jeffrey responds by writing, "What character would you like next?" Now, that doesn't necessarily correlate Jes with the particular painting, but it will in a second. But I was doing further research and I found this particular file that is even creepier. It's from a redacted source, which again, I don't understand why they continue to redact these names, but it's from a redacted source to Jeffrey. And it happens to occur on the same exact date as the prior email that we just looked at. The Snow White was F'd twice as soon as she put her costume. So there's no mincing of words here. We know exactly what that means, and it's pretty creepy, especially when you take this into account. Snow White's age is 14 years old. Now again, am I reaching a little bit? Does that mean that it couldn't have been an adult that was dressed up in a costume, right? Adults do that from time to time. This is in no way an indictment of this individual, but it's fucking creepy. Now, I was trying to correlate Jes Staley with that particular painting, and when you go to Wikipedia and you look for Jes Staley, you'll see that he had a career at JPMorgan from 1990 to 2013. So that would correlate exactly with the time frame in which he was corresponding with Epstein, but also don't forget about the cash that was on the table that was from Chase JPMorgan. Now, you might be watching this going, "Steve, I can see the correlation you're making, but it's a little bit of a reach." So let's dig a little bit deeper. We go to the good old Google and we type in James Staley, and one of the images that pops up is a man with his finger over his lip. I don't know about you, that looks very similar to the painting. I would say if you were to line up the painting and that image, you would say that is the exact same person. There is no doubt in my mind that Jes or James Staley is the actual individual that was pictured in that painting that was released in the Epstein files. Now, you might be saying, sure, that's fine. Like, maybe someone painted the picture. How is that indicative of him being a bad person? Well, it's not, but we have to admit the painting is strange, and we have to also admit that the correspondence with Jeffrey is also very strange. Keep in mind that Jeffrey was already indicted. He was already indicted when they had a relationship as a man who took advantage of underage girls. So you're going, "Steve, awesome, it's Jes Staley." Well, I want to just share with you some other confidential files that were actually only meant for the lawyer's eyes. It actually says it right here, confidential for attorney's eyes only. And it was also released in the EP files. I just want to go over a few things that were stated about him. This particular young lady states that the disgusting Mr. Staley, "If anyone ever calls me Tinkerbell again, I will lose my mind." So he was calling this girl Tinkerbell. "He left bloody marks on my arms from his belt and thought he had the right to call me that when he has ears as big as Dumbo. I should have called him that in return." Now, I don't know about you, but that sentence, this one here, how she finishes it, "right to call me that when he has ears as big as Dumbo." Adults don't talk that way, Doug. All I know is I don't know many women that would use a phrasing like that. It seems like an adolescent thought process written to paper. And even if it isn't, the accusation is that this dude gets physical. He puts marks on women. Women or girls, worse if it's girls, very bad if it's a woman. He's getting physical. That's what's being alleged against him. Like, anyone can say something bad about you or I, but for this to be like a consistent thing where people are accusing you of these heinous acts, the common denominator is you. Now, there's a memo that is also in the files, okay? And what it alleges, and this is around 2011, 2012, so this is a year after the emails that we went over earlier in this video. It says, "Epstein instructed redacted to provide a massage to Jes Staley in Epstein's New York residence. Redacted attempted to give him an ordinary massage, but he forced Redacted to touch his genitals and then Redacted. Obviously, Redacted being a victim. Afterwards, this individual complained to Epstein, who said he left it to whoever this was and Staley to decide whether to engage in After this incident, Redacted began to distance herself from Epstein. There is some good news in this video. Staley was actually banned from taking any jobs in the UK's financial sector for playing down his ties with Epstein. He tried and failed to overturn that banking ban last year in a court battle that revealed intimate details of the pair's friendship. Now, supposedly this guy's been sort of investigated, but they couldn't come up with anything. That seems a little bit crazy to me, considering the communications that he's had and the accusations against him. But again, this video is in no way accusing him of doing anything wrong. I'm just a guy on YouTube asking some questions, doing a little bit of research and connecting some dots, and all I know is that painting is extremely creepy, and there's no doubt about it that Jes Staley is the man in that painting.